All right, we got 6 games tomorrow, and I'm continuing my run of wearing jerseys of teams that aren't in the playoffs. Because you know what the thing is, like, I feel like I play it safe a lot of the times when I pick a jersey of a team that's going to win. Like, I'll just say, who's Detroit playing? Oh, I'll pick that one. So I don't do that. It's kind of like, where's the fun in that? Then it feels like I'm picking on Detroit, so I don't want to do that either. So, we have 6 games. This one starts at 9:30 in the morning my time, which is about 9.5 hours from now, so thanks, NHL. Your scheduling makes me happy's the word I'm looking for. Yes, happy's the word I'm looking for. That's the one. So, San Jose in against Washington. This is a huge test. This one starts at 9:30 in the morning Pacific, 12:30 Pacific, or 12:30 p.m. Eastern, which means if you're in Europe, this is your game. This is the one, and you get to see the Caps and the Sharks. The Sharks are now 19, 21, and 3, and it feels like they're getting more respectable. And yet, over their last 10, they're 4, 5, and 1. On the road, they're 8, 10, and 2. So they have a lot of work left to do, and they know it. But they've been working really hard their last couple of games, and it feels like maybe they're ready to turn the corner. Tomorrow is going to be a huge test for that. The Capitals, on the other hand, they're 28, 9, and 5. Over their last 10, they're 6, and 4. At home, they're 11, 4, and 4. They're better on the road than at home. We know this, though. But, again, they're at home against San Jose. San Jose's on the second half of a back-to-back. The Capitals need to jump on them early and often. The leading scorers, and you'll notice some teams have just one guy's name repeatedly through these lists. Leading goal scorers for San Jose, Hertl and Kane both have 15 goals. Assists, Erik Karlsson, that is, not Melker, has 25. Points leader is Couture with 34. Plus minus is Barclay Goodrow with a +4. Power play goals, Evander Kane with 7. Game-winning goals is Evander Kane as well with 4. So Evander Kane's dominant here, not as much as you'll see Patrick Kane is on the Chicago board. On the Capitals side of things, goals leader is Ovechkin with 24. Assist leader is Karlsson with 38. He also leads them in points with 51. He is still having a very good season, but he's on pace for 102 points now. Like, it's come down from where it was. Plus minus, Radko Gudas with a +17. Pretty good season he's having. Power play goals, Ovechkin with 9. Game-winning goals, Karlsson with 6. And Holtby has been confirmed as the starter for tomorrow as Samsonov played today, which means it's highly likely San Jose goes with Jones after playing Dell tonight. I would think that's the way they go with this. But that's why we wait until the games and we see how everything turns out. Only 2 goaltenders are confirmed for tomorrow, and we knew these goaltenders early today. So, next up, starting at 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Eastern, we have these guys, the Florida Panthers. Remember them? I picked them to beat Buffalo today, and they didn't. They spotted them a 3-goal lead and couldn't come back. It's December, January time of year where all those results start going the other way, where those comebacks just don't happen very often unless you're Vegas today, apparently. So they're in against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, this is a great chance for Pittsburgh to prove that my current faith in them is well-founded. The Florida Panthers, 21, 15, and 5 over their last 10. They're 6 and 4. On the road, they're 8, 8, and 3. Whereas Pittsburgh's 25, 11, and 5. They're 8, 1, and 1 over their last 10. And at home, they're 16, 4, and 3. These are some really impressive numbers from Pittsburgh. And they don't have Crosby back yet. Just imagine when they have Crosby back. Isn't that going to be great? I can't wait. All right, scoring leaders for each team. Goals leaders for Florida. Dadonov and Huberdeau both have 17. Amazing season Huberdeau's having. He leads them in assists with 39. Points with 56. So Huberdeau off to a fantastic start this year. Plus minus, he leads them there as well with a +12. Power play goals, Dadonov has 8 to lead them in that category. Game-winning goals, Noel Acciari with 4 leads them there. I don't know what they're going to do for a starter tomorrow. Do you go back to Bobrovsky? It's Pittsburgh. Do you really want to throw Drieger in against a team that's playing really, really well? Or would you rather throw Bobrovsky in and say, hey, we believe you can bounce back, and we don't want to play the other kid right now? So, is that what's going to happen? On the Pittsburgh side, Brian Rust, 17 goals. I did not include Jake Gensel in these totals because he's out for the rest of the year. Malkin leads them in assists with 28. He also leads them in points with 39. Again, discounting Jake Gensel because he's not coming back. Plus minus, Brian Rust with a +20. Rust is just having an amazing year. The question's been asked, how is Brian Rust doing this? Well, I've followed his career for the last 3 years, and he's been one of my favorite members of the Penguins. He goes through scoring slumps here and there, but he's a very good goal scorer when he gets that opportunity. So it doesn't really surprise me a whole lot that he's doing this. Game-winning goals, Malkin, Rust, and McCann all have 3. Tristan Jarry, of course, will be the starter. Tristan Jarry had the night off tonight, and because Casey DeSmith couldn't get his passport through into Canada, they had some other kid in the backup position anyways. My favorite was, I think it was on Twitter, I saw somebody ask, well, if DeSmith can't make the trip, who's backing him up? And they said it was the guy from State Farm was backing him up. And I'm like, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. He sounds hideous. Anyways, so yeah, Jake from State Farm, I think it is. Anyways, that was my favorite response on Twitter that I saw today. So yeah, I just figured I'd throw that out there. And Pittsburgh, just intimidatingly good. Next up, Tampa in against Carolina, and Tampa Bay is really getting it together. Carolina's the perfect test for this. Carolina, they are looking to get themselves going on a really good run. They're playing against a team that's already on one, that's won 6 in a row. Tampa's 23-13-4 over their last 10. They're 7-2-1. And why didn't I talk about Tampa having a 6-game winning streak after tonight's review? Because we are not surprised by Tampa having a 6-game winning streak. Vancouver having a 7-game winning streak is legitimately surprising. Tampa having a 6-game winning streak, that was supposed to happen all year. It's just surprising it's taken this long. Now on the road, they're 11-6-2. And so Tampa's playing pretty well no matter where they are right now. Carolina, 24-15-2 overall. Over their last 10, they're 5-4-1. At home, they're 12-7. So over their last 10, they've won 5 out of 10. They've been 1 up, 1 down kind of way. Scoring leaders, Killorn and Point with 16 goals for Tampa. Alex Killorn is having an amazing start to the season. Now that we're a little past the midway mark, I'm going to have to stop saying start of the season. Just say amazing season. Hedman with 30 assists to lead them in that category. Points leader is Kucherov with 43. Plus minus, Palat leads with a plus 15. Power play goals, Point, Stamkos, and Killorn all have 7. Game-winning goals, there are 4 players tied with 3. So Tampa, there's a lot of depth here. There's a lot of different ways they can hurt you. We knew that before the season started, and now it's really showing up as guys like Point and Kucherov start to get themselves together. Carolina, their goals leader is, of course, Sebastian Aho with 23. Teravainen leads them in assists with 33 and points with 41. Plus minus is Dougie Hamilton with a plus 30. So when we look at who's going to win the Norris Trophy, you have to think Karlsson. You have to think Dougie Hamilton's in there right now. And probably Roman Josi. So it's an interesting threesome right now. Power play goals, Svechnikov and Aho with 5. And of course, I mean that in like the golf parlance, not mine's in the gutter. Game-winning goal, Aho with 4. What do you mean I'm suspended? Anyways, Aho has 4 game-winning goals to lead in that category, where Aho also has 5 power play goals, tied with Svechnikov in that category. No surprise to see those guys leading when it comes to goals, because Sebastian Aho is really developing into what should be a 50-goal scorer perennially. He's got that level of talent. We're really seeing that this year. All right, next up, Calgary. This game starts at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern. They're in against the Minnesota Wild. Minnesota fans might be really excited based on what happens with the Vikings tomorrow, or they might be really not excited based on what happens with the Vikings tomorrow. We'll see. Now, Calgary's 21-17-5 overall. Over their last 10, they're 4-5-1. On the road, they're 10-10-2. So Calgary's going through a down period right now. And they need to go into Minnesota and kind of assert themselves, because last time out, they got shut out 3-0. 20-17-5 is the record for Minnesota overall. Over their last 10, they're 5-5, so 1 up, 1 down. And at home, they're 11-4-3. So their home record it's still really good. It's not as good as it was, say, 2 weeks ago. So for Minnesota, this is a chance for them to get it on track, and it's a chance for Calgary as well. This should be, I would think, game of the day tomorrow. We'll see, because San Jose and Washington could be very entertaining. The problem is that one's so early in the day, you might get a really lame first period where it's no goals and maybe 12 shots, and then they wake up in the second, but we'll see. Scoring leaders for Calgary, goals, Lindholm with 16. He's having a pretty good year. Assist leader is Gaudreau with 22. Points leader is Tkachuk with 36. Plus minus, Ryan has a plus 7. Power play goals, it's Lindholm with 6. Game-winning goals, Tkachuk and Lindholm both have 4. So some depth there for the Flames. We'll see whether or not that can win out against a Minnesota team who has their goals leader is Stahl. It's not Suter, it's Stahl. So I'm not going to leave Suter on the board because I know it's not Suter. With 16. it's Stahl. Suter leads them in assists with 22, and Stahl leads them in points with 33. Plus-minus leader is Soucy with a 15. His plus 15, of course, most Minnesota Wild fans will talk to you about it unprompted. They'll just walk up to you and start yapping at you about it. Power play goals, Stahl and Parise both have 5. Game-winning goals, Stahl has 5. Eric Stahl's having a pretty good year. That being said, I need to change boards. I really feel bad for Detroit. I do. It's been going on for basically the whole season now. They're 10-29-3, and now they get to go in against the Chicago Blackhawks. We're probably going to be all shades of ornery after that loss to Vancouver. That felt like they probably should have won that. You win 5 games, you should win. And for Chicago at 18-6, this can feel like a tipping point kind of game. You win, you're getting close to the playoffs. You lose, especially if you lose in regulation. You lose at home against Detroit. That can be troubling. But at least these teams know each other well from the Norris division over their history. So that's interesting. And they're 2 original 6 franchises. Over their last 10, Detroit's 3-7, which is better than some of their 10 game periods this year. That's something. On the road, they're 4-15-2. Whereas the Chicago Blackhawks at 18-6, they're 6-4 in their last 10. They're 9-3 at home. So the record, they're winning a little bit more than they're losing. That's been the case through first November and then December. But are they winning at a fast enough rate to catch anybody ahead of them in the West? That's where it gets tricky. So, scoring leaders for Detroit. Bertuzzi has 15 goals to lead in that category. Assists. Larkin and Bertuzzi both have 16. Bertuzzi, of course, leads in points with 31. Plus-minus, Della Rose has a +3 in the 16 games he's played with Detroit. He's fit in pretty well. Power play goals, Fabry has 5. Della Rose... All right, so Darren Helm has a +1. You know how hard it is to find somebody with a good plus-minus for Detroit? So let's go through this. Della Rose, who got traded, and I realized it when I said it, +3. Lashoff has a +1, but he only played 4 games. Then you have Helm with a +1. Giovanni Smith's a 0. DeKaiser's a 0. He's out. Abdelkader's a -1. It's hard to find somebody with good numbers. And then when you look at the plus-minus and you look at the other end of it, Filppula is a -29. Athanasiou is a -35. Green's a -23. Chalowski's a -22. Ernie's -15. Larkin's -15. Fabry's a -15 in 25 games. So while Fabry's put up pretty good numbers, his defensive numbers have been scary, or it's just Detroit's defensive numbers are scary. So that's why it's so hard for me to find somebody with a good plus-minus. And I went with Della Rose, forgetting he's in St. Louis now. Their best plus-minus guy, they traded him because he was making everybody else look bad. So there you go. Power play goals, Fabry leads there with 5. Game-winning goals, Mantha has 3. It's just scary all around when you look at plus-minus for Detroit. I think you're better off looking at the Sun. Yeah. I think looking at the Sun is perfectly safe. Leaders for Chicago, it's all Patrick Kane, pretty much. Goals, Kane, 24. Assists, Kane, 29. Points, Kane, 53. Plus-minus, that's where Strome comes in with a +2. Power play goals, Kane and DeBrincat with 6. And then game-winning goals, Brendan Saad with 3. So, I don't like Detroit's chances. I just told people they can look at the Sun rather than watch Detroit. That's so reckless. Because it's one of those disasters. Like when you look at the numbers for Detroit, it feels very 80s. These kinds of plus-minus numbers, these kinds of just scary defensive numbers, feels like they're playing 80s hockey, and you can't be playing 80s hockey defensively. That doesn't work. If it wasn't for Jonathan Bernier, they wouldn't even have 10 wins. They'd probably have like 6. So, yeah, all right. Let's move on. Last game of the day. This one starts at 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern, so they're all spread out really, really nicely. So I shouldn't be overly taxed tomorrow watching them, but they are kind of on all day. 19-15-6 record now for the Nashville Predators. They go in against these guys, the Anaheim Ducks. It's a back-to-back game, and Anaheim's got to turn things around on some level, right? Have to win one, right? What do you mean no? Okay. And it's Anaheim fans that said no too, isn't it? Yeah. Last 10, Nashville's 5-4-1 on the road. They're 9-8-2 after that win tonight in LA. Now they move just down the road, pretty much like a few miles down the road, and they play the Anaheim Ducks, who are 16-20-5 over their last 10. They're 3-6-1. At home, they're 10-7-3. I mentioned again, they were 6-2 to start the season, so they're 10-18-5 since then. So, scoring leaders. Well, there are scoring leaders for Nashville. There are arguably scoring leaders for Anaheim, but they're not as impressive. So overall leaders for Nashville. Goals leaders are Yossi and Forsberg with 14. Assists, Yossi with 29, and Yossi leads them in points with 43. Interestingly enough, we've all been talking about Karlsson. We've talked about Hamilton. Yossi's on pace for about 87 or 88 points this year. And if he gets 80 points, if he gets 70 points, he has to be top 3 for the Norris Trophy. And I said last summer I thought the second best defenseman in the NHL. I still think that. Power play goals, Yossi and Duchesne, 4 in that category to lead the team. Game-winning goals, Bonino with 3 is still the team leader. Bonino has 13 goals, so he's just below Yossi and Forsberg in that category. I go over these numbers so much that while I'm watching games and I see an assist, I see a goal or something, oh, that's his 5th, that's his 10th, that's his... I don't know how I feel about that. Goals leader for Anaheim, Silverberg with 15. Assist leader, Lindholm with 16. Points, Silverberg leads with 28. The fact that their points leader has 28, and they've played 41 games, that's not great. That's not good enough, really. Plus minus, Cam Fowler has a +5. Power play goals, Silverberg has 3. Game-winning goals, Getzlaf, who's been absolutely ice cold offensively for about a month now, he has 5 game-winning goals. So there's a direct correlation between them being ice cold and him being ice cold. If Getzlaf can get things going again, odds are he scores you a game winner, and odds are they win a game. Maybe that happens tomorrow. Maybe not. Maybe I just wanted to wear an Anaheim Ducks jersey. Maybe I just, when I do the previews now, I go, you know what? I haven't worn that jersey in a while. Let's throw that on. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. Let me know your winners, all that other wonderful stuff in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing right through. You just happened upon this video. I survived another Saturday night. It always feels like it's a survival. And the nice thing is, since we're in the second half of the season, I know we're into the second half. And maybe one of the reasons I'm wearing Anaheim is because this month we are headed in that direction. We're going to take a family vacation to California. We're going to do a video on that in the next couple of days. And I'm looking forward to catching a Ducks game while I'm there. So we'll see how cheap the tickets get when if these guys are still in this position. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. It means a ton. And, of course, on Patreon, thanks to Heath Dewson, Jay Darzens, and Garrett Dowell for continued support on Patreon, supporting this channel and helping me produce this content every day. And at this point in time in the year where everybody knows YouTube revenues take a massive nosedive, it is greatly appreciated. So thank you guys so much for the continued stability, the continued support. And as long as you guys are supporting me, I will be right here every day promoting videos for you guys and putting stuff together for you. So I will talk to you again tomorrow.